Can you lend me $30, please? Arriving at our home soaked from the heavy snow was my niece. Upon hearing her reasons, it was apparent she was enduring harsh treatment from her parents. Huh? No way I'm lending you money. Got mad by her story, Jack decided to go somewhere specific. Taking the snow-soaked niece and me along, and we all got into the car. My name is Hope Lee. This year marks the 10th anniversary of my marriage to Jack, who is 5 years younger than me and works as a carpenter. I was originally an office clerk at the company where Jack worked, and ours was a workplace romance. Everything moved quickly from there to marriage. Jack is so dependable that it is hard to believe he is younger than me. He is popular at work and respected by his juniors because of his chivalrous spirit. And he was the best boyfriend ever. Attracted to him, I was the one who approached him, starting our relationship. Jack is a man of integrity and seriousness. When we started dating, he stated that if we were together, he intended to think about marriage seriously. Captivated by his dedication in both his work and personal life, I proposed to him after a year of dating. We decided to get married, excited for an even happier life together. But reality wasn't as sweet as I had imagined. Hey, Hope. Isn't the roast turkey ready yet? Everyone's already gathered, and your planning seems a bit off, doesn't it? Right after we got married, the first disaster I encountered was the Christmas's gathering at Jack's family home. Jack is the middle of 3 brothers, each with their own wife. I get along well with the youngest brother's wife, but somehow, I just can't seem to mesh with Ashley, the eldest brother's wife. The incident with the roast turkey was what sparked these feelings. I'm sorry, I can't leave right now because I'm busy with the dance event in the garden. Jack's family lives deep in the countryside, and every Christmas, the whole family gathers for a big celebration like this. I was looking forward to my first family event with anticipation. But the busyness was beyond what I had expected. The youngest brother's wife was supportive and actively helped me, but Ashley was different. She seemed to be watching me just to catch any mistake I made, ready to scold me at the slightest slip-up. Even when I first visited to formally greet them as a fiancé, the welcoming atmosphere was absent. So I suspected she had something against me from the start. However, being openly oppressed like this was beyond my expectations. Every year, the thought of gathering with the relatives made me feel gloomy. Just knowing I would see Ashley made me sigh, and a week before the event, it would even cause stomach pains. You don't have to force yourself to come. If you want, I can talk to my brothers about it. Jack was considerate, offering me an out. But if I didn't go, who knows what they would start saying about me. It might even smear Jack's reputation, and I would miss seeing my in-laws. I love my father-in-law and mother-in-law, who have taken me in as their own daughter. I want to see them and not reduce our interactions. Despite Jack's suggestion, I insisted I was fine and continued to attend the family gatherings. And so, on this Christmas's day, like every year, I participated in the gathering. As expected, Ashley made snide remarks and bossed me around. I am not a long-winded person either. In my work, I am the kind of person who is not afraid to argue with the craftsmen on the job site. Even though these were family gatherings for my husband's relatives, being scolded without reason was infuriating. However, I couldn't disrupt the atmosphere. Despite my strained smile, I tried to stay cheerful and responded to Ashley's comments, only to be met with a sigh of exasperation from her. If you had kids, maybe you'd be able to plan things better. Ashley grudgingly served the roast turkey while dripping with sarcasm. In every other household but ours, there were already 2 or more children. When I got married, I was already over 34, a challenging age to hope for children. Jack was aware of my feelings and never pressured me about having kids. I don't want kids if it means losing hope in exchange for that risk. My dad and mom are just happy I got married, regardless of having grandkids. I hope you understand that I'm not marrying you because I want kids." His words and laughter comforted me. My parents also never pressured us about having children. Everyone considered our feelings and health, leaving us in peace in the best sense. I felt blessed to be in such a comfortable environment until Ashley made a sarcastic remark to me like this. "How old are Ashley's kids now?" 8 years old, and we just had another last year. Being born a woman means you're meant to bear children. My husband and in-laws are overjoyed and dote on them. After the dance event ended, the adults enjoyed the Christmas's feast and wine, reveling in the festivities. Standing right behind Ashley, I was pouring drinks for another relative, irritated by her pointed remarks made to hurt me. "Don't worry about her, Hope. She's always like that. I get nagged by her a lot too, so it's best not to take it to heart. Thanks for your concern." Really, what did my brother see in such a spiteful woman? It's hard to believe those kids are theirs, considering how adorable they are. After finishing pouring drinks, I quickly moved away from Ashley's table. And Jack, along with the youngest brother and his wife, welcomed me over. The youngest brother's wife was pregnant with a new life, and in the back, the children were playing together. In this brief moment of adult-only time, the couple seemed relieved to have a break from the burden. But, witnessing how Ashley relentlessly criticized me, the youngest brother and his wife expressed their dismay, and Jack looked puzzled and concerned. "I'm going to have a word with Ashley. This is just too much. She doesn't realize that the uncles who are listening are just giving forced smiles." "It's okay, Jack. I really don't mind. Plus, knowing that there are people who understand me like this makes me feel a lot better. You're too kind, Hope. It's ridiculous that you have to endure this. That's what being an adult is all about, I guess. But if it gets too much, please talk to us or our brother. I'm sure our parents would be on your side if they knew." Knowing that everyone was looking out for me made me realize I could make it in this family. If I had no one on my side, I'd probably have left long ago. No way I could deal with this. While harboring such thoughts and finding solace in their kindness, I barely held back tears when I heard a sneering voice from behind. "What's this now? Looking all gloomy right at the start of Christmas? Who's been bad-mouthing whom?" "Brother." There stood Ashley's husband, Dan, the eldest brother. Even as he approached near the youngest brother's wife, he nonchalantly sat down between me and Jack with a cigarette in his mouth. The youngest brother sent his wife and children towards the kids' play area, eyeing Dan warily. "Oh, right, your wife got a kid in her belly, huh? My bad, my bad. Totally slipped my mind." Unapologetically, he made a hollow apology while showing no signs of putting out his cigarette. Furthermore, he blatantly blew smoke in my direction, causing me to cough. "Think whatever you want about my wife, but keep your complaints out of sight." Well, I guess if you can't have kids, a bit of jealousy and complaining is inevitable. With a crude laugh, Dan then disappeared back to where Ashley and the others were. His words struck deep, leaving me speechless. Can't have children. How many more times in my life will I have to hear those words? How much more of this humiliation must I endure? Biting my lip, I felt the frustration of being childless. Maybe it's better if Hope doesn't come next year. Yeah, maybe. Won't I be able to see Hope next year? Seeing my distressed state, the youngest brother and Jack discussed my well-being. The niece, having overheard their conversation, looked sadly towards them. She was such a good child, vastly different from her parents, treating me more like a real mother than an aunt and adoring Jack. At 8 years old, she should still be in the phase of seeking her parents' affection. Yet during today's gathering, she was the most well-behaved, quietly playing with her newly born sister and others. It's hard to believe she's the child of those parents. I cherish her as if she were my own. That's not true. I'll definitely come next year, so don't worry, okay? Hope. Unable to promise otherwise to my sweet niece, who looked up to me with sadness, I reassured her. Despite Ashley not breastfeeding and thus, drinking and making a fuss with Dan, my precious niece was left feeling saddened in a corner. A little hurt on my part is nothing. For these young ones who look forward to seeing me, enduring this much is trivial. With that resolve, I gave Jack a determined look, signaling not to worry. Meeting you all is something I look forward to very much. I wouldn't easily give up such joy. So, don't worry. I'll keep coming next year, the year after. And as long as everyone grows up and stops coming here. It's a promise. Relieved by my words, my niece's face lit up with a bright, happy smile. Being called naive might be fine with me. If I can be a beacon of hope for these little ones, then it's all worth it. Seeing me like this, Jack and the youngest brother's family showed a resigned smile. And Jack gently stroked my hair. Remember, you can always tell me if it gets too hard. You're the most important to me. Thank you. Feeling the love from them, I couldn't help but smile, unaware of the tragic events that were yet to come. As the evening reached its peak, the oldest in the family, my father-in-law, made his greeting, prompting everyone to start cleaning up, while other relatives' wives were taking the initiative to clean up. Ashley, still drunk, was happily drinking with the men. I joined in the cleanup, suppressing the urge to ask her if she was the mother of a young child. The youngest brother's wife, due to her pregnancy, was resting inside with the children. It's really a mystery how such good kids can come from that couple. It's unbelievable, isn't it? As I carried a tray of finished dishes to the kitchen, I overheard the wives gossiping about the eldest brother's family. I hadn't intended to eavesdrop, but a comment caught my attention and made me pause. They were shouting at their child for not listening, and it might have even gotten physical. Really? I wasn't the only one shocked by this revelation. The other women were equally astonished. The conversation quickly quieted down as someone shushed them. But the person who had spoken out hastily covered her mouth and began to elaborate. That couple was reported to the police before. A neighbor, worried they were being too harsh on their child, called it in. Child services were notified too, but they couldn't find any visible injuries. The yelling is a regular occurrence heard by neighbors. It's practically everyday gossip. Hearing this unexpected news, I covered my mouth in disbelief, feeling the color drain from my face. Getting frustrated with your child is one thing, but resorting to physical harm or threats is entirely another. However, without witnessing it myself, there's little I can do. Despite this, my niece clearly loves her parents and has never complained about them. She obediently follows their orders without showing any signs of defiance. But if that obedience is the result of intimidation, my mind raced with worrisome thoughts after hearing their conversation. What's wrong, Hope? You look pale. Are you feeling okay? Jack, noticing something was off with me, came over, his concern evident. I considered telling him about what I had heard, but with Ashley and her family nearby, I couldn't risk the nieces getting caught in the crossfire. Deciding to deflect, I shook my head and made an excuse. Maybe I got a bit overwhelmed by the atmosphere. I'll step outside for some fresh air. With that, I put on my jacket, leaving the cleanup to the others, and stepped outside for a breath of fresh air. The ground was covered in snow, with a forecast of heavy snowfall later that night. The ominous clouds made me frown as I remembered the conversation, unsure of my next steps. Yet, I couldn't stand by if the rumors about my nieces were true. As I stood there, conflicted, my niece and her baby sister approached me. "What are you doing out here? It's cold. Go back inside and play with your sisters, okay? Hope, will you really come next year? Can we meet again like this?" Her uncertain expression and her baby sister on the verge of crying made me realize I couldn't leave them out in the cold. As I pondered the situation, unable to leave my anxious niece alone, I bent down to embrace her gently, pulling her into my arms while she held her sister. "Of course. If you're that worried, here. I'll give you my phone number and our address on a note so you can visit anytime. With this, you won't have to be anxious anymore, right?"
Yeah.
Perhaps reassured by having something tangible, the brightness returned to my niece's previously anxious face. However, her sister, perhaps due to hunger, started crying, prompting me to hastily return inside with them. After a while, as the gathering came to an end and everyone started heading to their cars, we too decided to leave, leaving behind the eldest brother's family. The youngest brother's family had already left, and our in-laws thanked us for coming and saw us off. "Thank you so much for coming today. Take care on your way home, okay?" Grateful for my kind mother-in-law's words, Jack and I expressed our thanks and left their home. It was worrisome to leave just the eldest brother's family behind, but the in-laws were there with them. Surely, the kids would be okay. Or so I thought, until, back at home, as the night grew late, our doorbell suddenly rang. Who could it be at this hour? It was past 11 p.m., and such a late visit was rare. As Jack and I exchanged nervous glances and headed to the door, the porch light revealed the visitor's silhouette. The moment we recognized the size of the shadow, both of us were startled and quickly unlocked the door. "What happened to you guys?" There stood my niece, soaked from the snow, holding her sister. Her hands were numb, and her sister's lips had turned purple from the cold. Despite being bundled up, the temperature had dropped below -9 degrees Celsius in the snowstorm. Considering the distance they walked, my niece was staggering, and Jack and I quickly brought them inside, exhausted from carrying her baby sister and their belongings. My niece slumped down as soon as she entered. After Jack made some milk for the baby, who drank it eagerly, I provided my niece with a warm drink and wrapped her in a blanket to warm up. Gradually calming down, my niece sat up and sipped her tea slowly. "What happened? Where are your parents?" As she regained her composure, I asked about the situation. She started to explain through tears. It was a 2-hour walk from her home to ours. She had made the journey with her sister, driven by fear that their parents had left them alone to go drinking at a bar, without any dinner prepared or baby supplies left. "I want to buy food and diapers for my sister. We don't have a place to stay, so can you lend me just $30? I promise I'll pay you back when I'm older." With that, she prostrated herself at our feet, begging. Seeing her like this, Jack raised his voice. "What? No way I'm lending you money." His sudden outburst scared my niece, who instinctively curled up and started trembling. "I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I won't ask for anything else, just don't hit me." As she sobbed and pleaded, I hugged her tightly, tears streaming down my face. I assured her gently, "It's okay. No one here will harm you. Calm down, we won't hurt you. I'm sorry, I wasn't angry at you. My bad. It's okay, relax." Seeing my niece's frightened state confirmed my fears. The rumors about the eldest brother's family were true, not just rumors. They had been living under oppression from the eldest brother and his wife. At that moment, a rage beyond words boiled up inside me. I can't forgive them anymore. Jack, shaking with anger, wasn't furious at my niece. His rage was directed at the eldest brother and his wife for putting my niece through such an ordeal. Unstoppable now, Jack dialed a number, urging us to get into the car. Hope, let's go. Go. Where? I can't leave the kids with them anymore. With that, Jack took us to a certain location. Understanding his intention, I quickly made arrangements in the car. Seeing my niece anxious about what was to come, I smiled reassuringly at her. No matter what happens to your parents from now on, can you trust me? Will you not be troubled staying with us? Upon hearing this, my niece, initially puzzled, seemed to grasp some meaning when we arrived. She squeezed my hand back and nodded vigorously. If you and Jack are with us, everything will be okay. Jack and I, having confirmed this, looked at each other with determination. We had discussed this before. If the rumors were true, we would protect my nieces. Though we hadn't expected to act so soon, our resolve hadn't changed. We brought someone with us and headed to the bar where the eldest brother and his wife were making a scene. Come on, drink up. Bring on the booze. Arriving at the bar, we could hear their loud voices from outside. It was unbelievable that adults could leave their young children behind to party like this. As their voices irritated me, Jack gently placed his hand on my head. Let's put an end to them. Yes. Agreeing with him, I followed Jack into the bar. Unnoticed by the staff, we seated ourselves. The eldest brother and his wife, caught up in their own world, didn't notice us. Taking advantage of this, I took out my phone and aimed the camera at them. Are you guys okay? Didn't you have a newborn at home? It's fine, really. We have an 8-year-old daughter, so we just leave her in charge. It works out. We trained her well from when she was small. She used to get in our way, crying not to leave her. But we made her understand each time. Just a bit of shouting, and she gets scared. She's sensitive to noises, so after throwing things near her, she started obeying us. Now she doesn't complain when we leave her babysitting. It's so convenient. She's always on edge, watching us, scared every day. Isn't it funny? People talk about raising kids without laying a hand on them. But that's just soft talk from adults. Real education is all about discipline. That's what I believe. Their crude laughter, confirming the rumors, was almost a godsend. Jack and I exchanged a glance and nodded just as a man walked into the bar. Welcome, oh, police. A police officer stood at the entrance, causing a stir among the staff at his unexpected appearance. As the patrons around us realized what was happening, the cheerful atmosphere quickly turned tense and uneasy. Sorry for the sudden intrusion. Actually, we've been looking for these children's parents. With that, my nieces appeared. The moment the eldest brother and his wife saw them, their faces contorted in shock. You guys, what are you doing here? Sorry, those kids are ours. Did they cause you any trouble? Perhaps realizing they couldn't ignore the situation, the panicked couple quickly claimed to be the parents. The officer, hat pulled down, gave the eldest brother and his wife a stern look through the gap. You left your children alone to drink at this hour? And on such a snowy day? The officer's sharp questioning threw the couple off balance. Dan tried to laugh it off awkwardly, attempting to deflect. No, we were just about to head home. Just waiting out the storm, you know? Right? Yes, yes. It's not like we abandoned them. We locked the house properly. And we've only been here for a few minutes, right? Faced with the couple's pitiful excuses, the officer turned to the bar owner. Is what she's saying true? I would like to know what time they enter the restaurant and how much they've ordered. If they've only been here 5 minutes, they could have only had a drink or two at most. Officer. They have started to get suspicious of the police officer, who was strangely getting involved in this case. What's the matter? Can't you speak up? Well, Aren't you actually leaving your children and spending hours here? That's not true. We just got here, I've told you over and over. Who are you? Stop making such absurd accusations. That's exactly what we were waiting for. As Ashley loudly denied the officer's accusations, Jack and I stood up, positioning ourselves protectively in front of the children. Why are you two here? We've heard everything from the kids. About you two leaving them to drink, abandoning them. And all the terrible things you've done to these children. We have all the evidence. We know you're lying. Their faces matched as they looked at each other, stunned by my words. Thanks to you, we have all the evidence we need. We can't leave these precious nieces in your care any longer. We'll take them with us, and you'll be answering to the police for your actions. Wait, you can't just decide that. Exactly. Where's your proof that we've neglected our children? Give it up. You've been caught. The bar owner, who had been questioned by the officer, now addressed the couple with a dismissive tone. Look what she's holding. Pointing out the voice recorder I was clutching. The owner implied it had captured their incriminating conversation. Not only is the audio evidence recorded, but she's also been filming you. That officer was brought by them. They called here earlier, and we were more than happy to cooperate. Your behavior has been too much to ignore. It's time to pay the piper. Go to the police and reflect on your actions. With the owner's intervention, I felt a wave of gratitude. The couple tried to protest, but it was clear no one would come to their aid. Everyone seemed to share the same disappointment toward the eldest brother and his wife, probably feeling the same disgust. Though it was another family's affair and they couldn't intervene. The situation had escalated to a point where no one wanted to stop it. You despicable people. Recording our conversation without permission is like wiretapping. That's a crime, isn't it? I'll sue you. Don't be ridiculous. As Jack raised his voice in anger against the couple's futile attempts to salvage the situation, the couple swallowed their breath in fear. It was rare for Jack, who had always been calm and never yelled at anyone, to shout like this. You involved your children in your selfishness, and then you talk about discipline? It's okay to hit them if they don't listen? It should be you, the trash parents, who need to be disciplined. What have these kids ever done to you? They've been waiting for you, feeling lonely yet hoping you'd come back home. And you dare to trample on their feelings like this. Shame on you. The couple grimaced in frustration at Jack's too accurate words, unable to respond and shifting their gaze away in shame. Do you know what she said when she came to our house? I looked directly into the couple's eyes, who were trying to avoid my gaze, and continued with a sad expression. She blamed herself, wondering if it was because she was a bad child that you left. She never blamed you, not even once. At my words, Ashley turned her face toward me in shock. She kept asking us if being good would bring you back. Children love their parents, no matter how terrible they might be. Forcing my beloved nieces to make such a heartbreaking decision was something I'll never forget for the rest of my life. That's why I'm determined to make them happy. No matter what, we will protect them. That was the strong resolve Jack and I had when we came here. I'm sorry. We won't do it again. We'll take proper care of them. Please. It's too late. Realizing the gravity of the situation too late, Ashley frantically pleaded. I coldly replied. We can never leave them in your care again. She chose this herself. If you're truly sorry and want to repent, never have children again. You two don't deserve to be parents. Seeing this, my niece, clutching her sister, spoke up for the first time against her parents. Wait, don't go. Please, come back. I hate you, Mom and Dad. Don't ever come near us again. For the first time, she defied them. She turned her back on Ashley and the rest, pulling at my sleeve to leave. Jack and I, leaving the rest to the officer, left the bar. Ashley ended up causing a scene in the bar, getting arrested for disrupting business. Dan also caused a commotion and was arrested alongside Ashley. Thus, we successfully protected my precious nieces from them. The officer, a close friend of Jack's, agreed to help out, knowing the situation. I can't stand parents like them. I'm glad I could help protect your nieces. Even though he was busy due to Christmas, he readily offered his help, for which I was grateful. From then on, my nieces legally became our children through a special adoption process. Their story, corroborated by the testimonies from the bar, led to the successful prosecution of their parents for abuse. And our adoption process was smoothly completed. We explained everything to Jack's parents and my sister and brother-in-law, who were furious and decided to disown the eldest brother and his wife. They wanted to take responsibility and help with the niece's upbringing. Their love and support helped the girls recover quickly. And they're now growing up healthy and happy. Being your child makes me so happy. On Mother's Day, the first card she wrote me, blurred with tears, expressed her happiness. And I cherished this blissful moment, tears streaming down my face.